What's up, y'all? So I'm coming to y'all with another video. I want to talk a little bit about how God got me through my sickness. So today is March 23rd, 2020. March 23rd, 2011, I was diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia. A few of you have heard my story. I've had a couple of my videos put out. But this video is gonna be a little different. I want to talk about the ins and the outs and the deep things that I went through. Some of the things in the other videos I didn't get to really talk about, some of the real critical things that I went through. So I'm gonna do that. So I kind of want to start talking about just how God divinely set it up. So I really wasn't about to go to the doctor. I remember being sick and just wasn't feeling well, and I kept throwing up, and I was like, what's wrong with me? Like, I feel like something's really wrong, but I can't figure it out. I'm looking online, I'm diagnosing myself, which is the worst thing you could ever do. Thinking I had diabetes, but really I had cancer. I went to the doctor. The doctor told me, they did some blood work, couldn't tell me what was going on, and so the next thing they told me that I was going to have to wait like 2 weeks in order to see a hematologist, oncologist. And that very next day, I was so sick I couldn't even get out of bed. I remember telling my dad, like, I can't move. The only thing I did was I got up and got dressed for school, but I lay back down and I couldn't move. I had no energy whatsoever. So my dad was just like, well, let's just go. I'm gonna take you to the hospital because we can't keep sitting here and waiting on results. So I went to the hospital. The doctor there ran some blood tests, and he said, well, son, if you stay here, you're gonna get sicker. So they had transferred me to the Roanoke Hospital, the children's wing, because at the time I was only 17 years old. The doctor that came in, she said to me, I'm 99.9% sure you have acute lymphoblastic leukemia without even running any blood tests. So I'm sitting there in my bed, like, confused, like, what is that? I've heard of leukemia, but I don't really know what it is. And then it came to me, I was like, that's cancer. And I couldn't believe that I had cancer. I was like, I'm too young to have cancer. Most times you hear people having cancer, they have it when they're older. But unfortunately, I ended up with it. I literally cried. I was thinking, the first thing that came to my mind is I'm gonna die. You know, I'm not gonna live. I'm not gonna be able to get married. I'm not gonna be able to have kids. I'm not gonna be able to do whatever I want to do in my life. This is it. And you know, time goes on. I get my very first chemo treatment that very same day. I end up having to stay in the hospital for about 3 days, I believe it was. But the doctors and the nurses were phenomenal. I did pretty well those first few weeks, but as time went on, I ended up couldn't keep anything down. Every time I ate or drank anything, it came right back up. I started dropping weight. I started off weighing 128 pounds, and my lowest weight was 94, I believe, if I remember correctly. My hair started coming out. I remember laying on the couch, and I lifted my head up, and hair was all on the pillow. And I just looked at it and was just very upset. I can't believe that God would allow something like this to happen to me. Like, what did I ever do to deserve something like this? I had many days where I felt that way. And as time went on, you know, I lost all the weight. I couldn't keep anything down. All I did was lay in the bed. And when I laid in the bed, I remember crying to God, like, why, God, why don't you just take me? Why are you letting me go through this? I didn't do anything to deserve this. It's not fair. Why is this happening to me? And I didn't get an answer at that time, but you know, I kept going. I he saw fit that I stay here, so I kept going. And I remember one specific time my family decided that they were going to do a little cookout or something just to have at my house. And after the cookout, you know, I laid down and my stomach was hurting real bad and my back was hurting. And I couldn't figure out, I couldn't get comfortable. And then all of a sudden I just get sick, and, you know, I'm thinking it's just a stomach thing and I can't even move, and it's just excruciating pain just hitting my body. So my mom, you know, she rushes me to the hospital. We get there, and they're thinking I have appendicitis at first, and then they realized that, well, this may be a kidney stone, but they really wasn't sure at this hospital. They didn't know. They end up giving me pain medicine, and I remember the nurse trying to put the needle in my arm. She ended up bending the needle in my arm, and, you know, which upset my parents, and my parents was having a hard time at that point, and I was having a hard time, and it was just a lot going on at that one time. So I remember getting some x-rays taken. I was getting rolled back to get some x-rays taken, and the radiologist tech, she was rolling me back. She said, asked me a question. She said, "Can I pray for you?" And I said, "Of course." And she asked me what was going on, and I told her. And she said to me, she said, "Well, you know, my brother had the exact same thing at 17 years old, and now he's 36 years old." She said, "I believe that you're going to be okay." And after that, I never seen that lady again. I truly believed that was God sending an angel to let me know that I was going to be just fine. After that, you know, time went on. I still hadn't gained all my weight back. My veins were really, really, you know, weak. And I was getting the chemo still in my arm. And I got the chemo that day. Maybe the next day, my arm started burning real bad. And I couldn't figure out what was going on. And then next thing I knew, the skin just like kind of like peeling off my arm. Because I was so malnourished, the chemo ended up leaking out of my arm and burning me. So I ended up having to go to a burn unit, and they had to patch it up. They had to keep stuff on it. I had to keep cleaning it and make sure it didn't get infected, because of course my immune system is weak. And anything get in there that could cause even more damage. I could even possibly lose my arm. So going through this process, there's many more things that happened to me other than just cancer. So the next thing was, you know, I started losing energy again. I couldn't get myself together, and they ran blood on me, and come to find out that my blood sugar level was 320 something, and I was basically diabetic. And so in the midst of having cancer, having a kidney stone, having this burn on my arm, I find out I'm also diabetic at this point. So they end up putting me on insulin shots, which then I had to take every day or every morning or so, twice a day or something like that, which is also difficult because at the time I couldn't keep any food down. So if my sugar dropped too low, then there's another issue. So, you know, time went on. You know, I started getting better. They were about to put a feeding tube down in me. I remember going to the doctor this one particular day. They had already prepped and already had on their mind that they was putting the feeding tube. But luckily, I had just started back eating really well. I hadn't really gained much weight, but I was doing a lot better. And as time went on, you know, I started getting healed, and I started getting better. And then some days I would have good days, I would have bad days. I missed a lot of school, but somehow, some way, God made a way. I passed all my classes. I remember taking the SOL test, which is a standardizing test, in one of my classes, and somehow passed it. And I had missed that whole class almost. But God was with me. So then, you know, this time my hair started coming back, and I would have days where I would have to stay in the hospital, just take certain type of chemo. And it's just, you know, things got better and things started coming around. I remember, you know, still in my mind wondering, you know, am I gonna be okay? And I remember I had this dream one time that I was in my mom and dad's house, and I was in the kitchen, and my mom walks in. She tells me, she said, BJ, you're okay. All your hair is back, and you can get a job now, basically. You can go out and do the things that you couldn't do. And then I woke up, and now I look at myself, and I see myself, and all my hair is back, all my weight is back, I'm fine, I'm healthy, I'm not on any medication whatsoever. I'm happy, I'm living, and God did it. He confirmed it so many times, and God was with me this whole time, and I just didn't understand. I couldn't see it, but God had to make me new, and He allowed this to get me where I need to be. This thing built my faith up like no other. I've seen God do things. I've seen God heal me in a way that no one could have. Funny enough, that the doctors and the nurses that started out with me ended up, as soon as I finished, they ended up transferring somewhere else randomly. And now I'm like, God, you placed those type of people, those exact people, exactly who I needed in my life at that time to just be there for me and be the ones that could be there for me and do what they needed to do. I just find it mind-blowing how God works. But I'm just so very grateful. Today marks 9 years that I was diagnosed with cancer, and I'm now going on 6 years cancer-free. And I thank God for that, because it could have been another way, man. It really could have. And I could not be here doing this video now, telling you all about it. But March 23rd will forever be a day that I will remember, and I'll never forget it. And I'll forever be grateful about what God done for me and how He's healed me. So, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Or, if you just have any concerns, please just let me know. I'm always open to questions. I'm always open to pray. Anybody, anyone is going through something similar, share this video with them and let them know that, God is a healer and that He can do it, and He did it for me.